Joining us tonight, national trial attorney, big case Mike, there he is, Michael Jaafar. Happy Friday to you, but what a horrible case this is, and what a day in that courtroom. You look at those kids, and their life is taken by their father in such an egregious way. I'm sure some people are thinking, of all people, this guy deserves a death penalty. But Mom released a statement today saying that they are absolutely in agreement with the state here for this deal. Your thoughts?
You literally just finished my sentence before I even said it. That's exactly what happened. So just so the viewers can see behind the scenes what happens with these types of conversations. When the defense counsel was appointed, the first thing that the defense counsel did was call the prosecutor and say, I got to come talk to you. I'm going to be their attorney. I really don't want to try this case. And the prosecutor would have came back and said, this is so heinous, I also don't want to try the case. But even though it's up to me, I've got to get the consent of the mother first. Let me see if the mother's on board. And then the prosecutor would have called the mother and told the mother, look, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I have a 99% likelihood that I'll get him sentenced to death if you want me to. But we'd be putting you and this community through a trial. Are you okay with me sending him literally into a hole where not only will he never see the light of day again, he literally will not see the sun again. We will also put him on suicide protocol so that he cannot even take his own life and excuse himself from the torment that the jail will give him. I could do that. Which one of those two do you want me to do? And then the mother would have had to tell the prosecutor, you know what, I would rather go through door number 2. If I'm not going to die and be released from this pain, I don't want him to die and be released from the pain. Put him on suicide protocol, put him in jail for the rest of his life. But it wasn't done yet, Ted. Because after those two bodies agreed, the state of Ohio through the prosecutor and the family through the mother, a third body had to agree, and that's the court through the judge. That judge could have thrown up that deal, but the fact that even the judge went forward without even having to take it under advisement, that shows you that that entire community did not want to go through that case. Everybody made the right decision, and so that's why you had this plea, and that's why the judge accepted it.
Yeah, and you never know with a death case as well. You can go through all of that, force the families to go through it. Laura Doerman, is the wife, and she has a daughter who is also involved in this. At the end of the day, jury could easily come back and say no to the death penalty because it is so difficult to impose the death penalty. And the defense would have been vigorous, bringing up a mental episode. We already saw indications of that going in. We're going to talk about this a little later in the hour with a professional, but in your experience, what's life going to look like for him in prison?
He's going to be on suicide protocol probably for the rest of his life. He's going to be in solitary confinement. They're going to send him to a maximum security prison. He's going to be, so when you visit a prison, there are the inmates that have privileges. They can go to the vending machine. They can have family visit them. He's not going to be in that. He's going to be in a level 5 maximum security prison. He's not going to have any privileges. He's going to be in shackles for the rest of his life because there's nothing more egregious. Now, he will receive treatment, and there will also be many universities, I think at least 1 or 2 universities that will want to study his mind in order to see if they can come up with a reason to prevent this from happening in the future, right? If you could get into the mind of an individual like this and see how black and dark the hole is, perhaps you could get mental health treatment for people in the future, because this is not the last time this is going to happen. It's not the first time that could happen. So life for him in prison will be different than any other murderer. He will be a source of study, in my opinion, by at least 1 or 2 universities, some psychiatric wards. People will study this guy, but I think I'm pretty confident his life in prison is going to be the worst type of existence you could have. Death is going to be better than the existence he's going to have, and he's lucky that he didn't get sentenced to death.
For the attorneys that representing him and even the prosecutors, because we're going to listen to the prosecutor who basically is holding his emotions in check during this hearing today, just detailing the case. Everyone in the room, you kind of alluded to it, they're looking at the discovery, they're seeing the horrible images and of these 3 little boys and what happened to them and the way it took place, the fear that they must have felt, realizing their own father, the guy who was, going to Little League, practiced with him,
Yeah.
is now at the other end of a rifle. How difficult? I know you've seen a lot. Are there a few that rock your world still?
Yes. When I first started analyzing cases on Court TV, I asked all you guys, how do you guys deal with, covering some of these cases, right? And I got advice from other people. I stopped trying criminal cases about 10 years ago because, and I never had a client who'd murdered their own children, right? But I was aware of cases where they were, because I would really try some very jarring cases and defend people that at the end of the day, I did not want to defend, but I did it. And even as a public defender, kind of didn't have a choice in some instances. But if you see that even the confession that he had was thrown out because his constitutional rights were violated by the police officers, why? You rarely see that. Why? Because no one is equipped to deal with a situation like this. No police officer, no prosecutor, no judge, no one's equipped to deal with it. We're equipped to deal with murder, capital crimes, capital offenses. We're just not equipped to deal. No human being is equipped. If you are equipped to deal with something like this, then you've had a horrendous life, right? And so nobody's ready to deal with something like this, which is why, in my opinion, this deal was done quickly, was done quietly, and it was pushed through. Nobody objected. Again, 3 bodies had to consent to this, and all 3 bodies consented. Yeah. So
it's very rare. 1 year, just 1 year later, triple murder has been adjudicated. Michael Jaafar, thank you. Enjoy your weekend. We really appreciate it. When we